I would say eight, if not 8 out of 10, if not all the CIOs talk about the fact that mobility is on the top of their minds as far as as far as their investments are concerned, as far as their infrastructure is concerned. How do you deal with it? What do you do around the whole mobility space? And it's really, why not? I mean, if you look at it, the number of mobile devices that are there, the number of different innovations that are happening in the mobile device space, the fact that the next generation is all mobile driven, they want to bring in whatever devices they have into the organizations. If you map the journey, you figure out that in the very recent past, the whole aspect of coming to an office to work, or wanting to be tied down to a place to work, is slowly going away. It's all about the fact of I should be able to work from wherever I am. So if you look at it, you're really finding a lot of convergence happening today between the mobility space and the desktop or the virtualization space as it was. What is getting created now is something that we call a software defined workspace, right? And what does a software defined workspace mean? It essentially means that you should be able to work from anywhere, on any device, at any network, be able to access your applications, and have the most productive environment that you can work. Now, remember, inspiration comes not at a place that you work. Inspiration can strike you anywhere, right? And out of the box thinking can strike you sitting anywhere. I mean, Newton had his inspiration when the apple fell on his head. He wasn't sitting in a lab. Therefore, this whole mobility space is the most exciting one. Now, obviously, you can break it down into technologies. You can talk about the various aspects of it, which is mobile device management, mobile application management, and so on and so forth. But it all culminates itself into that single thing that we call software-defined workspace, right? And I believe that's the trend that is going to define how mobility is going to get treated by organizations as they go forward. So, what we want to focus on as Citrix as an organization and drive that messaging forward is about how do we help organizations build a software-defined workspace. Citrix has always been a channel driven organization, right? We are 100% channel driven organization. Everything that we do is working with our channel partners. And the reason for that is really very simple. If you again map the history of Citrix, we've actually evolved along with the channel partners from being a single product company into today being a multi technology solution oriented organization. And therefore, if you map it to the channel space, you'll realize that channels also over a period of time have evolved along similar lines. They've evolved from being point product sellers of simple things to actually today becoming solution providers to organizations, right? And therefore, that's been the growth that we've had along with our channel partners in the country. So Citrix at the very core philosophy has always been and will always be a channel driven organization. I believe that channels are essentially an extension to our outreach in the marketplace. If you look at us as an organization, obviously we're very lean and mean. Right? We have a few people. We have a limited sales workforce or a technical workforce out there in the marketplace. India is a diverse country. How do you reach out to the multitudes and thousands of customers out there with a limited task force? While that is one sort of thinking, the other thinking is also the channels really add value to the entire chain, right? It's not about saying, hey, I want to get reach and therefore I should have channels. It's more about how do we mutually benefit each other and how do we grow together in that space, right? And that's I believe the core philosophy of Citrix from a channel perspective, right? So like I said, we are and we always will be a channel driven organization. We do a lot of work with them. We help them grow. They've helped us grow tremendously in the country. We've had some channel partners who've been with us for 14, 15 years. There are some partners who I jokingly call them as the founding fathers of Citrix in country, because they've been with us since the time, or actually they've really started Citrix in the country rather than us starting it. Right? So it's that kind of relationship that we have with some partners. That whole software defined workspace that we are in is what is resonating extremely well with the customers. And so when a partner goes out and talks to a customer, he realizes that this is what the customer wants. If I look at the industry, I realize that Citrix is the person that has that, or Citrix is the organization that has that strategy very well defined. How do I bring this together and add value to my customer? A partner is always looking at increasing their touch point with the customer, increasing their ability to form a relationship with the customer. And if I can add value to that, then why not? Right? And vice versa. Today, we are a solutions driven organization, right? Or a solutions driven business would probably be the better way of putting that. And what that means is that when a partner goes to a customer and talks to them, the customer is interested to hear about a solution to their business problem. The customer is not interested to hear that I can provide you with this one tactical piece and walk out of there. What the customer wants to hear is, this is my business problem, whether it's branch office automation or whether it is in the manufacturing situation, how do I automate and how do I do better inventory management? If this is how can you as a partner add value to that? Now, if you look at that and then you start looking at a solution driven thing, the support part of it becomes very critical, because the customer expects that solution to work flawlessly and help become a better and effective way of managing that entire issue. In that whole space, therefore, what we've done and how do we then support our partners in that journey that they have with the customer. About a year back, about I would say a couple of months back, we actually took a very conscious decision and we combined two of our technical teams, which is our pre-sales team and our post-sales consulting team, into one single team. The knowledge was there in these two teams, but because these two teams were separate, the knowledge sharing was not happening. Right? By combining these two teams, I think we've added tremendous value to the partner space. For the simple reason that today there's sharing of knowledge. Today, whatever are the experiences of the implementation team on ground with complex customers is now easily being transferred to the pre-sales person, so that the pre-sales person is now able to design the solution better and help the partner design it much better. So that's of course one big support option, or one big support that we've extended to the partners by making a change internally within our organization. The other is, of course, how do you help the partner understand the technology? So for that to happen, we run these constant programs with the partners. We do the enablement activities with the partners like every other organization. We run technical seminars with them. We run webinars. So we have something called Tech in a Box, which we basically say that we run a webinar for the partner technical people every 15 days on a different topic. It's an easy way to reach out to them, but at the same time, the regional teams call the technical people of partner into the office and maybe have a lunch and learn session with them, kind of stuff, right? So that happens. With the sales team, we do very similar things. We believe strongly that it's not about sitting inside a room and giving a training. It's more about on the field, on the job mentoring that can be done. Right, so it's important that the partner salesperson goes out to the customer space along with the Citrix person, so that they learn from each other. Right, so that's the kind of support that we give to our partners from a sales and a technical perspective. Today, you are hearing more and more about the customers saying, I want to see if I can move my workload out of the cloud. And if you go back to that, it all again stems down to the core competency, right? So if my core competency is about managing this infrastructure at my place, is there certain things that I can move off to the cloud and use it in a more utility-based methodology, right? And I think that's where the thinking is coming in. If you look at it, we are used to again consuming technology. We are used to consuming things, right? And I love that whole consumerization of IT aspect, right? I always talk about, when I talk about that, I say the biggest thing for me when I was growing up used to be the fact that my dad would give me a check and he would say, go deposit it in a bank. And right, that would be like a high point for me, right? Attach it, fill out the form, go to the teller, get the stamp, give dad, and get pocket money. Today, if I tell my kids go to the bank, they wouldn't even know what I'm saying. Because we're consuming technology. Today, for my kids, the bank means the ATM. Where I'm leading with that story is essentially the fact that because of our daily consuming of things, it's impacting consuming of the IT technology as well. And therefore, how do I use it as a utility? And therefore, how do I move it to the cloud? Right? That's the story that is coming. So what you're doing in personal is also impacting your professional one. Our partners are obviously coming back and telling us about that. If you look at a Citrix technology, I think it's still in a very initial phases of moving to the cloud. It's not something unlike some of our friends like Microsoft and all who moved a lot of their workloads and are able to deliver. I think our technologies are still in the initial phases of getting moved onto the cloud. The likes of desktop as a service or application as a service that is delivered from the cloud. In that sense, therefore, we're working very closely with our partners. We have a Citrix service provider licensing or CSP licensing, which is clearly a subscription-based licensing model, where the consumers can consume our technology based on how much they are using per month and pay and so on and so forth. So we're building on that base as we speak right now. We've started identifying a few partners. We've started working with them, trying to also, along with our partners, learn this model. It's fairly successful for Citrix as an organization in certain markets. ANZ is very successful on the CSP model, on the cloud-based offering. India, obviously, because of our adoption of the cloud as a country and our technology is Citrix, we're in the initial phases of that. So to answer your question, yes, we're working very closely with some of our partners. We're doing some good work with them. I believe that the course of this year is where we will strengthen our cloud practices along with our partners and have the ability to deliver more and more of those workloads to the customers. We are looking very actively right now to see how do we expand into the next rung of cities. Right, so we're working very closely with a distributor of ours and seeing how do we expand into Chandigarh, Jaipur, Nagpur, Nasik, Aurangabad, Vizag, Kochi, and so on and so forth. And how do we offer our technologies to those customers over there as well? The other look at it is also expanding into a Sri Lanka, into a Nepal, into a Bangladesh market. We've traditionally always had presence there, but it's more about focusing on those and expanding more deeply into those marketplaces. So yes, absolutely, we're definitely looking to increase our pan India presence. And again, I would like to emphasize again, it is with our partners, right? So while we would not have our presence there, but the partners can add tremendous value over there for us. And that's what we're looking towards our partners and our distributors to add value to the Citrix ecosystem by helping us expand into those marketplaces as well.